plus a
Special pregame ceremonies here inside the Rose Hill Gym as Black History Month is now underway, and we are just about to be underway here in the historic Rose Hill Gym, live atop the Frank McLaughlin Family Court. Alongside Adona Faki, I'm Andrew Bogish. Maria Tribal Peace will join us from courtside in just a second, and we are so happy that you are with us here tonight for some Atlantic 10 men's basketball. It's Rams v. Rams. It's VCU and Fordham. The homestanding Rams haven't been good in this building. They haven't won in the Rose Hill Gym since last year. That could change tonight with a big game from Kyle Rose.
And Kyle Rose has been playing his best basketball, coming off 26 points against St. Louis. He is the type of guy that will do anything that his team needs, and he's been a force on both ends of the floor.
You can say the same thing about Max Shulga, who followed his head coach from Utah State to VCU.
Well, Max Shulga, he can pick apart the defense. He can score from all three levels. He gets downhill, shoots from the outside, and he is VCU's leading scorer and is the engine for this team.
He also has his partner in the background there dribbling. That's Sean Bairstow, another Utah State transfer. He missed their last two games with bruised ribs from an inadvertent elbow during a game, but he is back tonight coming off the bench. That's more scoring and more distribution for Ryan Odom's team, his first year in charge of the visiting Rams. You know the name probably most from his tenure at UMBC. He was the head coach when the Retrievers became the first 16 seed to knock off a number one when they beat UVA back in 2018. Went to Utah State for the last 2 years, comes back across the country in charge at VCU. And alongside Max Shulga in his starting five, Jason Nelson and Zeb Jackson, a pair of quick, pesky guards. Kwani, a Cal grad transfer, can shoot it. And then Christian Furman, who averages 6 points and 5 rebounds, starts down low for VCU. The Rams continue for the second game to go with a new starting five. Still Will Richardson, still Kyle Rose, plus Ramad Dean, Elijah Gray, and Jaffe Medor, who is still working his way back from an ankle injury. And Coach Ergo telling us, that Antrell Charlton actually kind of volunteered to start from the bench so Jaffe could get back in the first five and get himself back to his peak game.
And that's leadership right there, right? Ego says, I want to start, but he's putting the we before me, and that's what's really important for this team. And Charlton has kind of showcased that all year long for Fordham.
Whatever the combination to start the game, in the middle of the game, to end the game, Fordham's search for a win in this building in year two under Keith Ergo, it continues. Their last home win was at the end of December against Columbia. They're 0-4 in this gym in Atlantic 10 play. They're 4-1 on the road in conference, and this is completely unforeseen. They barely lost in this building. Last year, it was electric from January on with the shirtless herd, Rose Thrill. But it's been chilly in this building, and it's inexplicable. They even tried different uniforms last time out against Richmond, and that didn't work either.
Well, they've got to take pride here. It's about defending the hill, owning the paint and not letting anyone come in your house and take advantage of that.
They go back to their usual white home uniforms for this one. Keith Ergo working the far sideline as always, trying to pump up his entire bench as VCU gets set to come out. Their last game over the weekend was against those Richmond Spiders, who were so impressive, led by Jordan King in this building a week ago. And then King in that game over the weekend only took 9 shots, only scored 12 points. He looked like Steph Curry against Fordham. Not that impact over the weekend, and VCU gave Richmond its first A-10 loss and snapped their double-digit win streak.
And what I thought was really impressive, they had a tough shooting night, shooting 27.8% from the three-point line, but it was because of their defense that was able to get them the win. And in the second half, they started moving well without the ball and really finding their rhythm.
Furman and Gray for the tip. The Rams control it, and we are underway on a rare Tuesday night for Fordham playing inside the Atlantic 10. The crowd slowly filing into the Rose Hill Gym. Medor dribbling right wing. He's low on Zeb Jackson, but he's got nowhere to go, so they reset up high. Elijah Gray had the game-winning hoop in Fordham's win at St. Louis. To the rim, strong, and the first denial from Kwani. Rose steals it back. He'll drive. He can't hit, but he takes it back from Furman. It's Medor. It's a three, the first of his return from that ankle injury.
And those are the extra effort plays. Kyle Rose, that's what he does. He crashes the boards, gives his team a second chance opportunity to knock down that three.
Jason Nelson, a Richmond transfer, year one at VCU. Ramad Dean has the mark to begin. Fordham switches on everything, though, so there's very few steady 1v1 matchups. That's Kwani hitting.
And Kwani, he's so special, very versatile. He can knock down that mid-range jumper. He is somebody that is really hard to defend.
A lot of great names on this VCU team. Kwani might be the best.
I like it.
Up top, it's Will Richardson. And a rebound for Kwani. Again, a grad transfer from Cal. He's got a sociology degree from the Bears. And playing his fifth and final year for the Rams, a Richardson steal. Running with Medor. Driving and kicking. And Richardson, two bad misses from downtown to begin his night.
And even though that was a miss, that was great patience going inside out, still getting a wide open shot.
We're in February, though. It's been a season-long battle for Will Richardson. Had a great freshman campaign. Knew what was expected of him as a sophomore with Darius Quisenberry and Khalid Moore graduating. Got himself in shape, wanted the pressure, wanted the need to carry this team. He's been trying, the shot just not going in as Zeb Jackson draws the foul here, Ramad Dean.
Take a look at that. Kicks it out. Definitely gets hit. Little body check there.
Little pump fake to get Dean in the air and leave Jackson at the free throw line. The lefty's averaging just under 12 points a game for the season, but that number is just under 9 in conference play. The officials are just double checking right now that Jackson was fully behind the line, and it's just 2. He thought he should have gotten 3, but it's just 2. Our officials today, Jamie Lucky, Jeffrey Clark, Lamar Simpson. It's a veteran good crew as Jackson sinks the first.
And Zeb Jackson is someone to also look out for. He knows what it takes to win. He helped Michigan to an Elite Eight, so he's that winning culture type of player. And as he draws that foul on the three-point line.
Yeah, that step forward off the pump fake put that left foot on the arc. He gets them both, and VCU has its first lead of the evening. And now Jackson deals with Medor on this end. VCU is still good numerically, defensively, but this is not old school VCU havoc. They do not take the ball away as much as they traditionally do, but they still make it really tough to score, but not that time. Medor's got a pair from downtown.
And we're seeing Jaffe get more and more comfortable. He's savvy, and he does a lot of those great little moves.
He is still their leading scorer despite the injury and the slow comeback from it and the big scoring numbers from Rose and Elijah Gray. Nelson off that high screen. Richardson the block. Fordham wants to run as much as possible. That's when they're most dangerous offensively. Rose has 3.
And Andrew, it started with their defense. Defense has led to offense from Fordham. They've been getting deflections, getting in the passing lanes.
Max Shulga lost his footing, but then Rose trying to corral it, knocked it straight down. It's still VCU basketball. Let's say hello for the first time tonight to Maria Trival-Peace.
Talked a lot about Jaffe Medor, but when we talked to head coach Keith Ergo, he said part of the reason for getting him in that starting lineup was so that he could kickstart this offense. You see him doing that already here today. 6 points for Medor.
21 to shoot for VCU. Shulga has it back, bumping with Rose. Doesn't know that double's there. Medor knocked it out of bounds. 14 to shoot for VCU.
And that's what Fordham does. They throw these different type of defenses. They'll switch all ball screens, or they'll throw a double at you, and it makes it really difficult to be able to see that skip pass.
VCU is long and athletic, and we asked Keith Urgo, how do you combat that? And we said, well, we're long and athletic too, and they want to show it with their defense. Shulga, tough step back. And that's last touch by Furman.
And they're going to need Shulga to really get going. Against Richmond, he struggled in that first half. 11 of his 15 points came in the second half. If they can get him going early, they'll see a lot of success.
3 new VCU players are in. Joe Bamisil's been in this building before as a GW Colonial. He wears 22 in black. Sean Bairstow, who we already mentioned, back from the rib injury, he's in number 7. And Toby Lawal's on the floor, number 10 for VCU. A 49.5-inch vertical for him. That's basically the top of the backboard. It doesn't seem humanly possible, but he's a shot blocker and he's a dunker. Medor, that went through Gray to Dean, but he couldn't hit. Second chance for Gray, and there's Lawal.
What a block. Lawal, 49.5 inch to his advantage. He is a beast. Look at him get up there using that verticality.
You've got to assume he's around, right? So there's nothing soft at the rim for Fordham.
Definitely have to pump fake a lot, get him up in the air, and draw that foul.
Or throw that one down. Don't leave it up there like Gray did. Rose, the pump fake, the tip. Lawal, Gray tie up, and it's VCU basketball with the arrow. Rams of Fordham are working hard, and 3 threes have dropped early. Jaffe Medor has 2 of them, his best start in his return from his ankle injury, and his Rams have an early 5-point lead. These were the deciding points Saturday in St. Louis. A heck of a tough turnaround from Elijah Gray. His bench loved it.
What a shot.
The play was designed for he or Kyle Rose to end up with the basketball. Maybe the spinning fadeaway was not drawn up by Keith Urgo, but he showed a lot of trust in his sophomore, giving him the basketball to start such a huge play.
And no one switched that, so Elijah Gray got open, was able to get the shot off, and Coach Urgo joked around to us. I'm not a fan of those fadeaway jumpers, but it's something he practices and he makes in practice, so you can't really get mad at him, right?
And in Elijah's defense, they have a rule. He can take that shot if they're under 5 in the shot clock or in the game clock, because there's no negative to a miss. The game is just over. The possession is just over. So he had the timing right, and then he had the shot right as well, and the Rams got a 2-point win on the road. VCU on the attack. They get it down low to Kwani. Working on Josh Rivera, who's just in the game. Abdu Timbilla's in too, and he's got that rebound for Fordham.
And Timbilla covers a lot of real estate. He really brings that paint presence for Fordham.
The raw numbers, points and rebounds, weren't there for Abdu on Saturday, but the defensive impact was 6 blocked shots, his 3rd game this year with 6 or more. Top 10 in the nation in blocks per game.
And look, a lot of players, when they start playing in college basketball, a lot of them take pride in scoring. But that's not with Timbilla. He takes pride on the defensive end and does such a good job of timing those blocks.
But he still wasn't having the impact that he did in non-conference play. He's now coming off the bench. His minutes had dipped, but maybe St. Louis, especially defensively, is a turning point to go back in the right direction for a guy who was once averaging almost a double-double, and now it's down to 7 and 6.5. He can't stop the drive from Bairstow as VCU gets within 3.
And it's good to have Bairstow back from VCU because he brings that leadership and experience. And what you'll see from VCU, they do a really good job of moving without the ball. Get those backdoor cuts.
He's only played 9 games, now 10 this year. His season began with a foot injury, came back in late December, missed the last 2 with the bruised ribs. VCU can't score in transition, but they'll get a second chance here. But first, a second look at Bairstow.
A nice backdoor cut. He sees the defense overplaying and makes a great read.
He's the inbounder. Charlton on Jackson. Up top for Bamisil. He can get hot in a hurry. The lob and the throwdown from Lawal.
Ooh, Bamisil, he's like a point forward, honestly. The way that he times that pass, it was beautiful.
And that pass is easy because the target can basically go get anything you throw up there.
With that length, definitely.
Here's Rivera facing on Michael Bell. Nice spin. And now Lawal on the defensive glass for VCU. Rose almost took it away from Bamisil.
And you'll see a lot of that from Rose. He's such a pest on the defensive end.
Jackson, good look. A couple of fakes, and then the kiss from Lawal.
Great timing by Lawal. You see the body control that he has. Doesn't force up the shot right away.
VCU has scored 7 in a row to take this 1-point lead. Charlton in trouble. Loose ball in the backcourt. Rivera couldn't get it. It's Bell. It's Bamisil. It's Bairstow. He's on it again amongst all that traffic, and now he's got a chance for 3.
Those second effort plays that you saw there, diving for loose balls, that's what both of these teams do. They make those winning plays that don't constitute scoring. You see here, fighting for the loose ball. Finally gets it to go this time.
A lot of 50-50 balls going VCU's way right now. Keith Ergo putting Ramad Dean and Elijah Gray back in for Rivera and Timbilla. Richardson leaves as well with Jaffe Medor returning. And here's Bairstow at the line, but first it's a VCU change as Furman gets Lawal. Bairstow played 4 years at Utah State, followed Ryan Odom east, and with Shulga, they've really kind of been the extra voices, guys that know the head coach, immediately click with the new players, the returning VCU players, and help them understand what Ryan Odom wants. Elijah Gray wanted the 3, didn't get it. It's Rose instead. It's a 10-0 VCU run right now. Medor on to Charlton with Bamisil on his hip. Rose almost walked, 6 to shoot. Charlton loves that spot on the floor, but Shulga's got the mix.
And to go back to your point for Odom, it's so important that he was able to bring those players over because they set the standard.
Bairstow got whacked by Gray. Wanted the poster. He'll settle for free throws. It's roughly 4 minutes scoreless for Fordham.
Definitely was going for that poster dunk, and Elijah Gray just swiped his face a little bit.
Ryan Odom is a step on the court. He's got his hands kind of in a pleading, prayerful setup. I think he's asking the officials to look at that since the contact was with Bairstow's head. He's okay, and Gray was clearly going for the block, so it'll just be a foul and the 2 free throws for VCU.
Are we sure Bairstow had a rib contusion? Because the way he's jumping already.
And no hesitation to go down the lane, put himself up in the air in danger. All net from the line. This is a good free throw shooting team. 78%. That's number 2 in the A-10.
It's impressive. He can truly put up big numbers for this team. And it's good for VCU that they have him back in this lineup.
And I've said this before all year. I love the rule change where you can wear numbers like 7.
I know. Where was that when I was playing?
Brand new this year. Now, would you have gone to a different number?
I was number 12. Maybe. Who knows?
Charlton, Gray on the roll, but he can't finish. A bunny should have ended the drought. It doesn't. And back comes VCU, and now Gray trips Bairstow, and that's exactly what his head coach does not want. Elijah's still a young guy. At times, his emotions get the best of him, and he misses on one end, and in frustration commits that foul.
And look, Elijah Gray has been rolling to the basket hard. They're finding him. They're just having a hard time of finishing around the rim. They got to do a better job of finishing those bunnies.
And we've got a spilled water bottle. I think this might have been the result of Gray's frustration. So we got to clean up. Jameer Tripp actually slipped on the water, which, as you can see, is all the way out on the court. Poor Henry Lowe, he's an assistant coach. He should be above mopping up things, but there he is with his nice suit on his knees, cleaning up the court.
Shout out to Henry.
Henry got a bump up into one of those 3 assistant spots for this season.
Listen, no job is too big or too small.
But suits might be too good for being on your hands and knees mopping up water. 12 consecutive VCU points. Rams of Fordham haven't scored in 4.5 minutes. Michael Bell to Zeb Jackson. Uses that screen. Got low against Timbilla. Ends up back out high with 10 to shoot. Bell drives and kicks. Bama still can't hang and hit. Dean clears the glass. Fordham in desperate need of a bucket. Medor had 2 early threes. The pull-up contested, and he'll at least get free throws. When we come back, exactly 8 minutes in, Fordham started 9-3. They haven't scored since, and VCU, with a flourish, has the early lead in the Bronx.
We're back inside Rose Hill Gymnasium where VCU leads Fordham 15-9. VCU's Max Shulga hasn't been home in over 2 years to Ukraine because of the war. Recently, he did an interview talking about how he communicates still with his family and what it has been like for him being so far away from them. In the interview, he also mentioned that one thing he really misses is Ukrainian food. So Stuart Siegel, who VCU's basketball arena is actually named after, coordinated with the local Jewish community center to cook up some of Max's favorite dishes. When we talked to Coach Odom, he said it was great. Shulga greatly appreciated everyone stepping up to help him out.
Maria asked Coach Odom about this yesterday on our call with Ryan Odom, and he went on for 3 or 4 minutes about how special this was, how much it meant to Max, how great the VCU community is, and reminded me a lot of what Fordham can remember with Rostik Nowitzki, another Ukrainian player that lived a very similar setup for Max Shulga, being here while so much was happening at home. Much like Rostik, the gym that Shulga learned the game in his neighborhood was destroyed in bombings, and to not be home for any reason for 2 years is so taxing. So any little bit of literally home cooking goes a long way.
For sure, and I couldn't imagine being in his position. And first of all, being a student athlete, it's a lot of time and commitment, and you have some personal stuff going on at home too. It's really tough, and that's a testament to Coach Odom's culture, you know, making him feel at home a little bit.
Jaffe Medor's second free throw ends that Fordham drought. An extended 12-0 run for VCU lasting almost 5 minutes. Shulga trying to lose Dean on the wing. Got it to Jackson. Timers in single digits. Now he's around Timbilla, who recovers to spike it.
What a nice recovery by Timbilla. He gets beat first, but somehow able to come from the behind and literally block his shot.
Trailing, sidestepped those 2 other players, still had the angle. Bamisil with 2, got in the air and got it down.
Bamisil is a sharp shooter, and what we're seeing so far is VCU already has 10 points in the paint while Fordham has had 0. That has been a discrepancy so far in this game.
Rams still got a long time between field goals. Medor is open. Shulga the rebound. Shulga will have the ball a lot. It's Jackson's turn at the moment to shake Timbilla. Got caught in the air. Lucky to find Bamisil, who's stripped by Kyle Rose. Snapped ahead. It's Rivera, the Euro, but no finish until Timbilla, and he'll get a free throw.
And that is why you follow your teammate's shot. You never know if there's going to be a miss. Starting on the defensive end, Kyle Rose doing what he does best, passing it up to Rivera. Timbilla with the dunk.
Abdu Timbilla running the floor. Had the block shot before the Rose strip. And now the putback and maybe a 3rd point for Abdu. 9 straight games in single-digit scoring for him. Hasn't had a double-digit rebound game since December 6th.
And he's someone who usually plays with a high motor. That's what they're going to need from him.
Fordham within 4. They extend their defense.
See a little press here.
And Tripp knocked it away. Jameer Tripp on the attack. He lays it in. The freshman playing defense.
And Fordham's been starting to convert the forced turnovers into points finally for them.
Nelson lost the handle. Timbilla's on the floor. Hard collision. Medor is up slowly. Jackson and Timbilla coming back in. And now we're 5-on-5. Medor baseline. Tough pull-up. Another rebound for Shulga.
That is a really tough pull-up when the defense is stagnant. You want to get the defense to switch and rotate a little bit before you start driving like that.
VCU only turns it over 12.5 times per game. Already on 5 midway through the opening half. Bairstow spinning, leaning, but can't hit around Tripp. Another Timbilla rebound. A chance to tie or take the lead for Fordham. Medor to Timbilla, lost his footing, and there's the whistle.
Seemed like he got tripped up a little bit, forcing him to travel.
That's what Keith Ergo's saying. He was throwing out his right leg. It's Furman.
Yeah.
Who might have gotten his legs tangled. And that is supposed to be a foul on a defensive player.
He was trying to get into the jump stop, you could tell, and just stumbles over.
Furman leaves. Kwani, and Lawal back out there for VCU with Nelson, Shulga, and Bairstow. Nelson will back it out. Been a little bit of a slump offensively, scoring-wise for him recently. He and Medor so similar physically. Mismatch here for Lawal. Medor couldn't sell it. It's a block on the Fordham guard.
And that's a smart decision by Lawal. He sees he has a shorter guard on him. Got to be able to pound that in the paint and draw that foul.
And that was really the best strategy for Jaffe Medor. He's going to lose a battle with Lawal's size and jumping ability. So try to get the escape with the charge. Charlton comes back in for Tripp. Rose just left as well. It's Richardson, Medor, Charlton, Rivera, and Timbilla for Fordham. Nelson, Shulga, Bairstow, Kwani, and Lawal for VCU. This is Bairstow and Rivera being told by Lamar Simpson to cool it as they battle for position on the inbound.
And you'll see a lot of these handoffs.
Richardson got Nelson on the arm.
And you see Nelson come off. He is a true point guard, someone who could get downhill, create for himself, and you see that he draws that foul. He has such a good feel for the game, and he knows when to attack, when not to attack.
He's a redshirt sophomore. Didn't play his first year at Richmond. Played there last year. Played against Fordham in a game in early February. Didn't go far. Transferring to VCU. He might have enjoyed Saturday's win a little more than his other teammates.
A little 10-minute ride.
There is an international flavor to this VCU roster, and then there's a bunch of Richmond guys. You're either kind of from far away or you're from around the corner.
Makes the international guys feel like, wait, what's this?
Rivera posting up, Kwani the spin, and the hammer from Josh Rivera.
What a nice read by Josh Rivera. He's such a good player in the post. He has that great footwork and able to spin off so easily.
And that might be his favorite, most effective move. That spin is quick, but that's a mistake he doesn't want to make. Got caught in the air, a little hip check to pick up the personal.
We'll take a look at this. Rivera closing out too long. Definitely a foul there.
You have to close out on Kwani, though. This is a young man who missed his first 16 threes this year. He's 22 of 33 since.
And that closeout, it's easier said than done, but you could see he was standing up a little bit as he was closing out. And that's, the ref is going to look for that every time.
Kwani, an 87% free throw shooter. Only 1 of 2. Lawal almost had the miss, and then he's called for reaching in. Try to get it back from Charlton. Got him in the shoulder instead. Early minutes for Yole Akuavu, and Keith Ergo loves the effort from Abdou Timbilla. He was waiting for Abdou with clenched fist. Slammed him on the chest a couple of times for the effort in that stint on the floor. With Elijah Gray on 2 fouls. That's why Akuavu gets in here in the first half. Richardson and now Rivera. Showing off the handle this time against the smaller Jackson. And Shulga, actually that's Bairstow, taking down the miss for VCU.
And that's where everyone else has to move without the ball. You see one of your teammates penetrating. Got to be able to fill in the gaps.
Next whistle, a timeout. As Kwani drives and throws it through the hands of Bairstow. Fordham had the better start. VCU had the answer. Things have leveled off, but still it's the visitors up. Despite Rivera high flying in the Bronx.
Kwani, he has been on it. You could just see how athletic he is and how comfortable he is getting to the rim. That's been the biggest difference for VCU so far, scoring 12 points in the paint and only attempted 1 3. I mean, they're really going inside out here and getting the defense to move and rotate.
And Fordham's defensive game plan is to force tough twos. They're forcing twos, just not as tough as they would like them to be. Meanwhile, for Fordham, 2-point shooting, they're 3 of 14 from under the arc here in the first 12-plus minutes. As VCU comes out of the media timeout with the 3-point lead, but it's Fordham basketball.
And I'll say this, too. You know, we saw that last jump shot. He had his hand in his face, but they're just that much longer and able to really jump over and have that quick release. That's really tough to defend.
Will Richardson was asking for a high screen from Josh Rivera, never got it. This is Charlton looking low. Richardson on the wing. He's got his first 3 of the night, and the game is tied at 20.
And Richardson is their 3rd leading scorer. He's someone who's taken the most threes on the team. You definitely cannot leave him wide open on the 3-point line.
Missed his first 2, drained that one. Bairstow's open. He'll back it out and reset things. Uses the Lawal screen. Guarded by Akuavu now. Good defense. Timers at 2. Nelson and Richardson bumping. Akuavu and Richardson combined for the rebound.
And that's a good defensive possession by Fordham.
Rams last led 9-8. That's a bump on Lawal. It'll be the 4th team foul on VCU. Here's the Richardson triple again.
Fordham starting to find a little bit rhythm on the 3-point line. They were struggling early on, and Richardson just able to knock it down.
That's 2 fouls on Lawal, so he'll sit. Elijah Gray's been on the bench with 2 early fouls for Fordham. Max Shulga also taken out by Ryan Odom. Kyle Rose might have had Josh Rivera on a lob from out of bounds. Would have been a tough completion. Instead, this whistle's down low on VCU. It's on Kwani, who was tangled with Charlton. His first, team's 5th. And now Rose inbounds from the baseline.
And you'll see Rose come off for filling behind over there.
Charlton spinning and fading away, left it short. It's a Jackson rebounds. Kuavu doing a good job sticking with the smaller, quicker Jackson. Now it's Bell, a freshman, against the fifth-year senior in Kyle Rose. Bell's all the way down low. Now it's Bamisil over Rivera, no. Good box out by Rose.
And Fordham's doing a good job of boxing out every possession, not allowing second chance opportunities.
Rivera shoots it. That three-point shot has not gone down this year for Josh Rivera. There's probably better serve there shooting on the catch, not after the dribble.
He's definitely been struggling a little bit, shooting 25%.
Bairstow, no struggle, and then a kiss to the Fordham bench.
Wow.
Okay.
We see you.
Might be a little early for that, but all right. VCU by 3, 5.5 to go before intermission.
It's his first game back, and he's ready.
Was there a signature E-money celebration?
Not for the broadcast. I can't expose myself like that. Just yet.
Max Shulga comes back in. Bell will leave. You didn't shoot an arrow or point to somebody after a big shot in a game?
I wasn't really a trash talker, honestly.
Shulga and Rose battling. Backdoor cut has Jackson tiptoeing the baseline, and he stepped on it. Jeffrey Clark gives the ball to Fordham. Timbilla comes back in for Kuavu. Good minutes from him off the bench.
And one of the goals for Coach Odom coming to this game said we need to take care of the basketball and continue to play in transition. And what we've been seeing so far, it's been slowing down a little bit for them.
Richardson, the spin move got him free. The one-legged finish pulls Fordham within one.
Richardson is just so crafty, really has the ability to create his own shot.
Shulga lost the handle under duress from Rose. It's not a steal, but Kyle's defense made that happen.
Take a look at that last one. Yeah, just went out of bounds. Good defense, good read, good timing by Kyle Rose.
That's 8 VCU turnovers already. They average 12.5 a game. Timbilla battling Furman low. It's a Richardson 3 instead. Will now 1 of 4 from downtown. Good kick by Shulga. Jackson's 3 rims out, and Timbilla snatches another one.
And that's a great kick out by Shulga, having the defense collapse, kicking it out for the wide open 3.
Kyle Rose yet to get going. Dean airborne, yes, from downtown.
Starting from Kyle Rose, probing in the paint, putting his defender in jail and kicking it out. Those are the type of plays you want to keep doing to make the defense move.
Fordham's first lead since the 14-15 mark of this opening half. And now Dean way up for the miss. Dean is open again, shooting again. Just off to the right. Max Shulga is already on 6 rebounds in this opening half. He's got it back on the wing. Rose tight. Shulga driving, lost the handle again. Dean's on the court. Fordham running again. Skip pass. Dean for 3.
What a nice skip pass to Ramad Dean. And he has been stepping up in this role, starting the last 4 games. It's his energy and effort that has made a difference for this Fordham team.
Time out VCU. Loud in the Rose Hill gym. Back-to-back triples from Ramad Dean. Top of the arc, and then right wing in transition. Fordham by 5.
Welcome back inside Rose Hill Gymnasium, where Fordham has just taken the lead over VCU after 2 big triples from Ramad Dean. When we spoke to Coach Ergo, we asked him what has made Dean so good as of late, and he said, you know what? It's the work that he put in the offseason. He actually went to the Bahamas on 2 separate occasions to train with the Indiana Pacers' Buddy Hield. Coach Urgo said when he came back, he has just been playing with so much energy, and it's been a big key for the Rams' success.
And I think, too, Maria, he's been at Buddy Hield's house in Dallas. So kudos to Ramad Dean for putting in the work, but also kudos to Buddy Hield for helping those coming behind him from the Bahamas trying to play college and professional basketball.
And Coach Urgo has said we constantly talk to him about the Attitude Club, which are all the winning plays that don't constitute scoring. And that's what you see from Ramad Dean, is getting after those loose balls, diving on the floor, attacking the glass.
There's another delay for a cleanup. Something happens in the Fordham huddle during the timeout. We've had a spilled water bottle. It might have been that this time, but the Rams may unofficially also lead the Atlantic 10 in players getting sick on the court as Bamisil throws Fordham down or slows them down with a three. Kyle Rose at St. Bonaventure and then Josh Rivera on Saturday in St. Louis have both gotten sick on the floor from playing so hard, and their coach absolutely loves it other than the gross part of it. For some reason, Maria has more on that. Let's go right back to her.
Just a little bit more. I won't have too many gory details there, Andrew, but Coach Urgo actually told us that Josh Rivera is one of those players playing so hard. He puked against St. Louis, and he told us that that is a coach's dream, to know that you gave everything that you had, that you just had to vomit.
I mean, if you were going to make a cut-up of Keith Urgo's sideline celebrations, the top two might have been post-vomit, because he was so proud of Kyle Rose and Josh Rivera for playing that hard.
I don't miss those nauseating feelings at all.
Antro Charlton is low, doesn't get the bounce, so Fordham's lead stays 2.
And part of the reason that they've been able to extend this lead is because they've forced 9 turnovers and have scored 13 points off of those, finally converting.
Shulga's got 3, and VCU has the lead again.
He's a dynamite player, shooting 40% from the three-point line. Coach Odom told us how he just brings so much versatility to this team.
They weren't shooting threes, you mentioned it a moment ago, and now they've hit 3 of their last 7.
And a part of that has been because they've been scoring in the paint. Now it's making Fordham collapse and really clog the paint, opening up the three-point line for them.
Timbilla wanted it, has it against Furman. Dean almost threw that one down. Shulga, another rebound. He knew Rose was behind him, so he was careful. Freshman Bell gives it up. Shulga 18 to shoot. Final minute, opening half. Back and forth we have gone. VCU leading at the moment. Bell extends the lead with their 4th triple here late in the opening half.
He is an important player for Richmond. Not a lot of stats, but can impact the game in many ways.
Fordham uses its timeout that it can't bring into the second half.
Take a look at that 3. It is raining 3 so far, back-to-back. Shulga knocking it down, finding his rhythm. And then just on the other side by Bell. He told them to shush.
So we've had Bairstow blow a kiss, Bell shushing the Fordham bench and the fans behind it.
I need to know, did they coordinate this before the game?
Well, is it that loud in that corner of the gym where you need to be shutting folks up in the first half of a game? Either way, those shots dropping for VCU. They've been the best three-point offense and defense in terms of percentages in Atlantic 10 play. They were not using the three-point line early, and now they're 4 for their last 7 to surge back into the lead.
And what you'll see from VCU is that they're so fundamentally sound, stopping off of 2 feet in the paint, ball fakes, and just not forcing shots and kicking it out in the right time to get those wide open threes that Bell was just able to knock down.
If my math is correct, this is dueling 9-0 runs, first by Fordham, then by VCU, getting us to 32-28. 26 to shoot, 38 to play, as you can see on your screen. By the way, coming up at halftime, we will hear from Fordham guard Kyle Rose, plus, of course, stats and highlights from these first 20 minutes. Jaffe Medor hedged by Furman, and that's a foul on the VCU big, and his head coach throws his hands behind his head in frustration.
Even though Furman got the foul there, Will Richardson trying to come off that staggered screen. Good idea to switch out, but just a little bit too late. Maybe you want to switch out a little bit earlier to not allow that drive or pick up that foul.
And now Fordham can take the last shot of the half. Again, it begins with Richardson handing to Medor, chased by Bell with 8. With 5, Medor driving into traffic. It's Richardson for 3.
The guard-to-guard connection. I need to know, how did Medor get that pass off? That was a beautiful play.
Hung in the air, found a teammate. Richardson finds the bottom of the net. 2 threes for him, 7 for his Rams in the first half. It's a 1-point game in the Bronx. There's Medor driving and kicking, and Richardson finishing the job from the arc. Well, welcome back inside the Rose Hill Gym. Andrew Bogush, Shidona Thaki, Maria Trival-Peace with you. VCU a 1-point lead here at the break. Each team spent time in the lead in those first 20 minutes. Back and forth they went. Here come your first half highlights. VCU, we told you they were athletic, and Toby Lawal showed us right out of the gate.
Woo! Let's talk about VCU. That lob pass dunk. You've been seeing them cover a lot of real estate with their length and athleticism, their ability to go inside out and really open up the three-point line. Max Shulga knocks down that 3. That's where they have been at their best, is the inside-out game, and they need to continue doing that in this second half.
But Fordham, when they were at their best in those first 20, it began with defense.
And for Fordham, you said it, Andrew, defense leads to offense for them. That is their identity, defense and rebounding and knocking down some three-pointers while they can. Diving on the floor for some loose balls, pushing the ball out, and Rivera putting them in a spin cycle for a little slam dunk action as they finish off with some three-pointers here. And Ramad Dean stepping up big.
And then this is the final play of the half. Richardson's second triple, a team high 8 for him. Fordham 7 of 15 from downtown in the first half. They were 4 of 19 inside the arc. 4 of 19 on 2-pointers. They're down by 1. Elijah Gray, who missed most of that first half, will begin the second half on the floor after the 2 quick fouls. Toby Lawal had 2 for VCU. I suspect we'll see him pretty quickly here in half number 2 as well. It'll be Fordham basketball. Rams versus Rams on this Tuesday night. There's only 4 D1 schools with the Ram nickname. 3 of them happen to live in the Atlantic 10. URI is the other, on top of these 2 down below us. And the Ram versus Ram matchup reminded me of a story that always makes the rounds here on the Fordham campus, that way back in 1870-something, Fordham and Harvard played a baseball series over who could use magenta as their official school color. Now, there is nothing at stake in this game. No one's has
fighting
to give up the Ram nickname, depending on tonight's final score. But Fordham won the baseball series, but Harvard wouldn't actually do their part of the bet. So they said, you know what, we'll be Crimson. Fordham went with Maroon, and here we are, fast forward all these years later, and there was once a baseball battle over school colors. As for tonight, Fordham and VCU, the 2 head coaches spoke to Maria coming out of the halftime locker rooms. Here's Maria now.
VCU's Coach Odom said that he liked the way that his team was driving to the basket and getting fouled, but he said overall we got to clean some things up. He said we need to do a better job rebounding the basketball. We also have to stop turning the ball over. Coach Odom also said, you know what, we're giving up way too many threes, and that last play of the first half was indicative of that. Now, Fordham's Keith Ergo had a little bit of the same story. He also said that his team needs to limit VCU's threes. He said we missed some assignments and let them open too much. But he did like the way that his team played defensively. He said we were really aggressive.
A Fordham turnover to begin the second half. Furman all by himself near side. Nelson helps him. He can scoot down the lane and score around Medor. He was being patient, wanted to be a passer, but the lane opened up, and he took it.
That's what makes him such a good point guard, is the patience and the poise that he plays with. He sees the opening, gets downhill, and scoops it up, not allowing the defender to block him.
First field goal of the night for Nelson. Gray, nice bounce for Dean. Up against Kwani. Tried to find space. Kwani couldn't get the steal, though. Got the strip off his foot, off his hand, and out of bounds. 9 to shoot for Fordham. Safety valve is Richardson. Good hands by Nelson. Shot clock's at 5. Richardson to his right. Lost the handle, came down with it. He hit the shot, but it doesn't matter. It's a travel on Will Richardson and Fordham. 2 possessions, 2 turnovers.
And look at that defense by Nelson. Beating him to the spot, making him force up that shot. He is a very determined on-ball defender.
Richardson on Nelson, flip-flopping here now. A curling Shulga over Gray for 2.
Great read by Shulga. Gets into the paint, doesn't force it up, gets a little step back, creates some space for himself, able to knock it down.
Just the second field goal from Max Shulga. He's got 5 points. He's also a game-high 7 rebounds. Gray against Furman. Triple teamed. Now just 2 defenders. Dean in traffic. It's a jump ball. It'll go to VCU. They have clamped down on defense here in the first 2 minutes.
It's been their intensity on the defensive end, forcing baseline, making Fordham uncomfortable to force that shot. Great help by
Nelson was there. Shulga was there. Everybody doing something. This is a team over their last 7 games, 6 of those wins, allowing just 60 points per game on 36% shooting and 19% from downtown. Shulga, beautiful feed, curling it around Timbilla. Easy for Lawal. VCU leads by 7.
Great pass from Shulga to Lawal. No help side defense, no recovery. Left wide open.
This matches their largest lead of the game. Rose. Medore's open for a second. Threw it up, missed it all.
You can see Medore was trying to draw that foul.
Kwani avoided the contact. Lawal is low. He gets crumbled by Timbilla. The foul was low before all of that on Medore.
And it seemed like Lawal wanted to dunk that. He's someone who's shooting 57% from the field, and 40 of 2 of those have been dunks. So he's always looking for those lob passes and trying to get that dunk.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be an alley-oop, but he's a little too far away from the rim, and there's Medore just with the left leg grab, and then Timbilla comes in and makes Lawal feel it. And I guess the good news for Fordham, the foul on Medore on the floor. So there's a throw-in for VCU, 20 to shoot. Lawal dribbled it off his foot. Richardson went to the court to get it for the Rams. Up ahead, Medore. Didn't see Dean right away. And then Timbilla knocks him out of bounds. And it has not been pretty on this end of the floor for Fordham since halftime.
And defense has looked good for them. In that last possession, you see everyone moving on a string. Just a little bit of a miscommunication here between Timbilla. Just couldn't see who it was going to.
And it started with Medore not picking up Dean earlier. Had he done that, thrown the lob sooner, Timbilla's never involved, and Dean's probably slamming one in. Another foul on Fordham defensively. It's on Richardson, his second, and the team's second.
And for Coach Odom, that was one of their goals, too, is to get to the free throw line, force those fouls, which they've been able to do so far.
Shulga to Lawal again. It's Nelson. It's short. And a keep alive by Kwani. Shulga over his shoulder. Now it's Jackson, 10 to shoot. Oh, Jackson, the reverse, and he was fouled. A little shoulder fake for the blow-by to the other side to finish, plus the contact.
Ooh, talk about that hezzy. Going baseline, getting the defender on his hip, finishing on the other side. So athletic going to the rim.
And all of a sudden, this game has gotten dangerous for Fordham. Down 9 with this Jackson free throw coming.
And you've been seeing VCU really space the floor and move the ball really quickly. A lot of second chance opportunities. Shulga was left pretty wide open in the paint there for a few seconds.
They have scored the first 9 points of the half. This is their largest lead of the game. Charlton just lucky to get it to Rose. And now Rose, arm up, high on Nelson. Fordham is lucky this whistle is on VCU.
May have looked like Rose lifted his arm just a little bit.
Now, Antro Charlton, here's Rose, first of all. Watch, it should be the left arm. Nope, it's the right one, right there. Maybe Nelson's contact was first. Rose's contact was harder. And then Charlton walked through a little mini VCU huddle to kind of keep the tough feelings going. Kwani just stripped Rivera. Shulga, Nelson. Charlton doesn't have numbers. Rams are down 10. Tough step back. It's a 2 from Medor. It's the first points of the half for Fordham.
Medor is someone who can create for himself. He really can shoot off the bounce, and it's so hard to defend because he's not just a catch and shoot three-point shooter. He can really go off that dribble.
This is his best game since coming back from his ankle injury. He's got 9 plus 3 assists. Nelson down the lane. Kwani against Rose. Got him in the air, left it short. There was contact, no whistle. Charlton, Rivera. No lob, VCU the other way. Jackson, more hesitation, he lays it in.
It's Jackson's change of pace. When you play with such pace like that, that is hard to defend. He does such a good job of getting to the rim and finishing.
The lead goes back to 10. What a swing that is. Rivera was open. That should have been 2. A bad lob by Charlton. No hoop. And then VCU goes down and scores. Tim Billa's free to rock the rim.
Tim Billa left wide open. No help and recover. Great finish there.
VCU by 8. 5.5 since the intermission. 4 VCU players waiting to check in. Shulga shoots it. It's too strong, and Rivera pulls it down. Medor goes to work, got in the lane. Rivera swooped in, and that is last touch by Fordham. First time out of the second half. Beautiful give by Shulga, the drop in by Lawal, and VCU's up 8.
And Fordham's just been having a few mental lapses, miscommunications here. Getting to the rim, getting inside the paint, but just almost 2 people going to the ball at once a few times here.
They're actually 2 of 4 shooting it in this second half. The problem has been getting shots. That was one missed lob to Ramad Dean. There one from Charlton to Josh Rivera. That's 4 points the Rams just need to have on the board right now. Instead, they're down 8 to the Rams from VCU. Still with plenty of time left here in regulation, Keith Urgo's team still looking for its first home Atlantic 10 win. They are 0-4 in this building in league play. 4-8 overall in a gym where they won 18 times a year ago.
And VCU has just turned up their defense a little bit more in this half.
Joe Bam is still in for the first time in half number 2. Same for Sean Bairstow. He's got it for VCU. Medor the knockaway. Bamisil prevents the run out, at least for VCU.
And Medor getting into the passing lane, denying one pass away. They're going to have to keep doing that, stay active on the defensive end, and not allow VCU to get good, easy looks. You see Medor goes with his inside hand.
Dribble handoff for Antrell Charlton. Now the double high screen. Medor retakes. Gray stepping out for three. High arcing. Rose rescues low. Got himself some space, but not the make. Kyle Rose is 1 of 6 today after his 26 points at St. Louis over the weekend.
Really just struggling to finish around the rim. Like I said, they're getting those looks, getting the second chance opportunities, creating more possessions, but just got to finish.
Double teaming Bairstow, got him in the air. Furman lucky to catch it. Back into the corner, three is short. Rivera strong on the glass for Fordham. Medor, Bamisil got a piece of that. Shulga under control always. Bamisil now on offense, stepping through on Medor to push the lead back to 10.
Bamisil just plays with such a high motor. It started with a deflection. He runs the lane wide and then able to attack to the basket.
Virginia Tech to GW to Oklahoma to VCU as a multi-transfer. Didn't get clearance until December to actually play this year. Rose again misses. Has his miss, though. Charlton will drive. Shot clock's at 15. Gray into contact, and the foul is on the floor against Furman, reaching.
Definitely a little hip check there as he was driving. Yep, gets him. You see his hand come over, trying to block the shot.
Let's go back to Kyle Rose here just for a second, Adona, because after the 26 points over the weekend, he's 1 for 7 today. He has certainly proven that he can get hot and have a big game. But there's a difference between the single big games and scoring double digits every single night. That remains a lot to ask of Rose. Jameer Tripp couldn't hit him close, trying to get it back, and Bairstow throws it off the freshman. It's VCU basketball.
And to go to your point for Kyle Rose, you can't expect one person to do it all. And what I love about Kyle Rose is he does it on both ends of the floor, but he really impacts the game in so many different ways, not just his scoring, but it's the way he applies the on-ball pressure, getting into the passing lanes. And you've seen the extra possessions he's given his team, but just not being able to finish right now.
He has 5 assists, 5 steals, and 6 rebounds to balance out the 1 of 7 shooting, but his team's down 10 with just 35 points in 28 minutes of basketball. Bamisil, Bairstow, and now it's Bell in and out to Bamisil for 3.
That is that inside-out game. Bamisil knocking down the 3. He can get very hot, shooting 38% from the three-point line.
Largest lead of the night for VCU. It's 13 with 11:20 to go. Tripp puts it on the floor. Tough shot. Wasn't close. He ties up Lawal and gets the ball back for Fordham. The Rams have scored, from Fordham that is, just 4 points in almost 9 minutes to open the second half. VCU, no such issues. They lead by 13. VCU has stormed out of the locker room, making a 1-point lead into a 13-point lead. They're shooting 58% from the floor. There's Fordham's number, 2 of 10, 0 of 3 from downtown, plus 6 turnovers, E.
This is where you're going to have to lock in defensively and force VCU to really turn the ball over and not allow those easy chances. And VCU has been dominating in the paint with 24 points in the paint. And for Fordham, it's only been 10.
And this is kind of the season-long back and forth dissecting this Fordham campaign. It feels a little like which came first, the chicken or the egg. Like, what's the problem since halftime? Is it the defense because VCU shooting 58%? Or is it the offense because Fordham has 4 points in 9 minutes? And now Abdul Timbil has called for a moving screen. So Keith Ergo's team is going to get no points on this trip either.
Honestly, I feel like Fordham's defense has been pretty good, but it can be hard to sustain a level of production when your numbers are looking like that from deep.
Bell gets it into Bamisil. Fordham showing some full court pressure. Bamisil almost walked. Seb Jackson across the timeline. Bairstow and Lawal, the other VCU players right now. Lawal leaning on Tripp. Needs a teammate. It's Bell. Timbilla denies the flush, but free throws for the freshman. Now, there's going to be a conversation because there's a lot of contact with the rim, but it's actually Bell who's on the rim that flings the ball out of the cylinder. The officials are talking about this, and they say, okay, this is a procedural decision. They have said the basket is good. They've called goaltending because that's the only way they can look at it. If they don't call goaltending, they can't check it. So they'll call it goaltending. Now they can look, and they're going to see that it's Bell hanging on the rim. It's not Timbilla. It's Bell's right hand. He's the one that kicks the ball out of the cylinder, not Timbilla making contact with the iron.
And you see that started from Fordham's miscommunication on the defensive end. Bell able to get wide open. Timbilla trying to recover and get there in time to block that shot. Those are the type of mental lapses that you cannot have on the defensive end.
So they have officially wiped off the basket. Forget the goaltend, just the 2 free throws. To further explain this, it's kind of like in the NFL now, where on fumbles, they let it be a fumble, they let the play finish, and then they figure out if it's a fumble or not, as opposed to just whistling the play dead. The way the rules are written, and they probably should be fixed, you can only review a goaltend if it actually is called goaltending. So you have to say that was a good basket for the goaltend to go to the monitor and make sure you got it right when you're unsure of what actually happened. So just 2 free throws, and the first one rims out for Bell. A freshman from London. I believe he was on Ryan Odom's radar for Utah State, and then when Ryan Odom switched to VCU, Bell switched with him, much like Shulga and Bairstow transferring from the Aggies to the Rams. 1 of 2 for a 14-point lead, approaching the midpoint of this second half. Alongside Adona Thaki and Maria Travelpiece, I'm Andrew Bogish. Thanks as always for being with us. It's a busy week for our Bronx-based crew. Most of us back here tomorrow for Fordham women's basketball against Dayton as the Rose triple rims out. Still just 4 second-half points for Fordham. Bamisil, bothered by Rose, finally gives up to Jackson. Against the bigger Timbilla. Wants to drive, got cut off. Ball movement, and now Bairstow, but that whistle's on Lawal, discarding Tripp. Lawal says the freshman had him by the jersey, but that's not the call from Jamie Lucky.
See the ball movement, and Lawal does kind of grab him a little bit. Then he gets mad. It was like, hey, I just got pulled by the jersey.
Lawal leaves. Furman came back in first. Now Shulga replaces Bairstow. Rams get Dean back in the game with Richardson, Medor, Tripp, and Timbilla.
And look, there's lots of game left here for Fordham. Lots of time left to make a difference and try and get this lead back for them.
Richardson off that high screen, and he lost the handle. VCU's playing good defense. Rams are also Fordham that is making unforced errors.
VCU has just been more active and have realized that multiple efforts have to take place and understanding how hard you have to work against good offenses in this conference.
2 baskets, 7 turnovers in the second half for Fordham. Wide open, it's Bell. It's a corner 3, and the lead is 17.
What a drive by Jackson, because of his ability to penetrate, he draws that defense in, able to make that kick out.
Another suffocating defensive effort from VCU, allowing just 60 points per game in their last 7, and they're better than that pace right now. Medor off the back of the rim. Richardson, third shot of the possession, and he splashes in the 3. Just their third make of the half, their first triple since the break, and now it's a 14-point game. Zone defense for Fordham. Bamisil shoots over it and drains it.
Bamisil knocking it down, finding that gap, especially against a zone. If you move the ball really quickly, you're able to get those wide open looks.
Medor, step back, drove, and he gets the bounce. Into double figures goes Jaffe Medor. Furman is down low, can't finish. Tripp lost him. Furman's got free throws.
And that's the thing about a zone. Sometimes there's those gray areas that you kind of get lost and have those miscommunications on, and just able to find his spot and get to the basket.
Christian Furman, a sophomore from Pennsylvania, just a 59% free throw shooter.
And Coach Odom told us he's someone who chose VCU over Pitt, Penn State, St. John's, Temple, and a bunch of other bigger schools that he could have played at.
He is almost a perfect design of a basketball player. You just look at him and he should be out on the floor doing the things he does. Tall, long, athletic, strong. Just a sophomore.
You said it, just a sophomore. He's taken a big step this year. Barely played last year, now averaging about 25 minutes per game.
A lot of talent left this VCU program when Mike Rhodes took the Penn State job. They only returned 6 games started last year. Not 6 starters, 6 starts on their entire roster. Elijah Gray had it knocked away, the hands by Nelson. Gray couldn't get it back. Dean comes in and rescues for Fordham. Lucky to find Medor. Shot clock never reset. 8 to shoot. Medor had it knocked away. And then leans into Shulga. Heavy contact to get the whistle. Shulga is fine. VCU is fine. They lead by 17. They're outscoring Fordham 25-9 in the second half. That Bamisil 3, and then that one as well for VCU. We're back in the Bronx. VCU has taken control of this one, a 1-point lead at halftime. They're now up 17. They have struggled, though, at times to close out games this year. With more on that, here's Maria.
That's right, Andrew. Coach Odom told us that a big point of emphasis for his team has been playing through fatigue, especially late in games. He said that they can't let it take over like they did in their last loss to St. Bonaventure. Coach Odom told us that being tired really can't be a reason that his team isn't as attentive to detail as they need to be. Right now, they're holding it down. They're up by 17, so hopefully they can continue to play through any fatigue that they might have.
Yeah, that Bonaventure game, I believe their lead was as large as 20, and then they lost the second half 41-23, lost the game by 5. They have gone in the other direction here tonight with Max Shulga at the line. But what has happened, Adona, from the Fordham perspective? They go into the halftime locker room down only 1 off that Will Richardson 3, and then they struggled immediately to begin the half.
Well, I always say the first 4 minutes of a second half is super important if you come out with that energy and high intensity. But for Fordham on the offensive end, they've been doing a lot of ISO plays, a lot of dribble drives to the basket, not really moving the ball, and you've just been seeing a lot of stagnant on the offensive end.
Down by 19. Elijah Gray has not gotten it going tonight. Early foul trouble. That's a bad miss. Throw ahead for Bairstow. Zach Riley has checked in for the first time tonight. First time in a while for the reserve guard. Nelson Tripple's too strong. Zach was guaranteed to get minutes for going back into last season. But with the development of some other players, specifically Jameer Tripp, the minutes have disappeared. But Keith Ergo told us that whenever I need Zach, I know I can go to him and he'll be fine. His demeanor, his role as a teammate has not changed at all with the diminished PT. And here he is trying to get Fordham some kind of spark before it's too late. Shulga from downtown makes this a 20-point game.
And Fordham's going to have to defend the three-point line a little bit better.
Last time on this floor, they got outclassed by Richmond. VCU's throwing haymakers here in the second half. Rose hits. Keith Ergo calls for time. We'll take it with them, I believe. 6:34 left in regulation. It's VCU in control at the Rose Hill Gym. We're back inside the Rose Hill Gym. It's an 18-point VCU lead with 6:34 to go in regulation. Now, this could have been one of those trap games for VCU. A huge emotional win at home last weekend over Richmond in the Capital City Classic. Coming up on Friday is Dayton, who's back kind of atop the division, the league with Richmond. Nestled in between is this game here against Fordham. A 1-point game is now an 18-point game. The lead was 20 a second ago, so VCU is certainly taking care of business. For Fordham, one of the problems with their bad start here at home and being only 4-5 in the A-10 coming into tonight is that this is the harder part of their A-10 schedule. All alone, it is Furman, completely forgotten about. It's the easy two.
And that's VCU's fast-paced style of play, pushing the ball out, trying to get those stops on the defensive end. They have been doing a tremendous job tonight.
Here's one of the bright spots for Fordham. Jaffe Medore's got 14 points, his best game easily in his return from his ankle injury. Bamiso couldn't answer. Furman couldn't get the offensive rebounds.
We'll take a look at that dunk.
I think he was chilling with the cheerleaders. Stepped back onto the court. I mean, there was nobody within 20 feet of him when that pass left the hand of Max Shulga.
And then on the other hand, there was a wide open transition three. You got to match up early in transition.
Zach Riley uses a Timbilla screen, probes, drives, and earns free throws.
And you mentioned this earlier about Zach Riley, how he's someone who doesn't really play. But Coach Ergo said he changes the game, and you see him draw that foul. He's always ready, no matter what. If he plays a full game, plays 0 minutes, it's his attitude that makes such a big difference for this team.
This is his first appearance since Fordham's win at Rhode Island on January 24th. Furman leaves. Lawal comes back in. Kyle Rose, middle of your screen, still trying to spur his Fordham teammates on here. Down by 16, 5:48 to play. It just takes a couple of stops and a couple of threes to make this game feel differently. Rams press. Medore got his hand on it.
And you see Fordham trying to pressure full court.
Bairstow throws it into Jackson. Now he'll be doubled. Threw it ahead. Loose ball. Run down by Nelson. He's on the sideline. Fordham gets the turnover.
What a recovery by Zach Riley. That is difficult to do, to meet somebody who's going full speed with the basketball in transition. You see him sprint to the spot, trying to force him to step out of bounds, and that he does.
Ryan Odom's running Michael Bell back into the game. Jason Nelson's going to leave. It's a bigger lineup for VCU right now with Jackson as their smallest player.
And this is where Fordham's got to try and force some mismatches for their guards. Set some high ball screens.
Medore got Jackson in the air, and he hits the three off the pump fake to make this a 12-point game.
Medore bringing the intensity on both ends right now.
Jackson calm and collected across the timeline for VCU. Fordham bench is standing, leading the cheering section. Shulga. Good hands by Rose. But Jackson retakes, drives. That's too strong. It's a Dean rebound.
Great help defense by Zach Riley, stepping in for the recovery there.
Jaffe Medor wants more. It's Dean. Jackson and Rose battling, and Jackson wins it. Michael Bell, one hand.
Michael Bell, very athletic, and he has a lot of verticality. He's just a big man who brings a lot of that length and is able to finish at the rim.
Dean's three on this end would have gotten the deficit to single digits. It didn't go, then the dunk. Now Medor driving, but just free throws for Jaffe Medor.
You see Jaffe Medor trying to initiate the offense, get things rolling here. He splits that defense and gets to the front of the rim. Able to draw that foul. He's going to have to keep doing a lot more of that in this game with 4:24 left.
Jaffe Medor had only scored 9 total points in 3 games back from his ankle injury. He leaves that first free throw short. He has 17 on the game, including 4 triples. It's a game high for either team, 17 points from Medor.
And he's the team's leading scorer. He has such a great ability to get downhill and really create. We've been seeing that from him, and he's getting a little bit more and more comfortable from that ankle injury.
He misses them both. One of the more reliable free throw shooters on a team that's not good from the line, but he comes up empty, so Fordham stays down 14. Jackson got all of those Fordham players in the air and then lays it in.
I think he got like 3 bodies up there flying.
You stayed down, though.
I did.
Jason Nelson knocked it away and then threw it farther out of bounds, trying to save it. Good hustle by him, and the good effort by his Rams continue. Michael Bell is going to ring the bell. VCU's got a 16-point lead getting late in the Bronx. As you can see along the Fordham bench, the Rams are wearing special Black History Month warm-ups. They debuted them Saturday at St. Louis. They will wear them for this entire month of February. These shirts proclaim that Black history is American history as the Rams celebrate the vast contributions of Black Americans to our country. Fordham students at tonight's game receiving a T-shirt version of these warm-up shirts as the Rams recognize that Black culture, stories, and triumphs are the core of who we are as a nation. Andrew Bogish, Idona Thaki, Maria Travelpiece back with you here at the Rose Hill Gym. This is a 1-point game at halftime. VCU had that lead. They have been up by more than 20 in this second half. In fact, right at 20, and it's 16 right now, partly because they continue to knock down threes. Adona, coming into the game, they were hot, and they've stayed hot tonight.
Yeah, shooting 44.4% from the three-point line, and they are a high-volume three-point shooting team, but they struggled first half of the season with offense and now finding rhythm. Shooting 40% in conference play from the three-point line. It's been impressive.
In position to win for the 7th time in 8 games. This would be their 7th A-10 win. It's a team that they are at the top of a lot of lists since they joined the Atlantic 10. One of those is road success. They are 20-4 on the road in the conference. They had an 11-game overall road win streak, ended in that loss at St. Bonaventure a couple of games ago.
And winning on the road is super hard. I don't think people realize that sometimes. There's so many odds stacked against you.
Shulga pulling up for 3 in transition. Buckets for Shulga. He's got 13 plus 10 boards and 5 assists, and now he's talking to this side of the gym.
He has been impressive tonight, and a lot goes through him. He has been putting on a show tonight.
Jameer Tripp spins one in for Fordham to go back to VCU on the road. Now, they've been a little less dominant. Whoa! Looking down on the rim to throw that one through.
10th most dunks in the country, and you see that 49.5-inch vertical. He is really athletic.
The ESPN broadcast over the weekend of VCU Richmond, they took a picture to show how high Lawal can touch with that 4-foot-plus vertical. He can basically get about 9/10 of the way up the backboard. It seems impossible, but he basically did it a second ago.
Man, if I had that to my game, I'm seeing girls in the college basketball world dunk these days, and it's been crazy.
We're under 2 minutes left in this one. VCU a 73-58 lead. It was 32-31 visitors at halftime. The Rams went 9+ minutes, scoring just 4 points to start the half, while VCU got hot. They couldn't slow them down with offense. And the one minor Fordham push here late in the half has been answered by VCU. Rivera blocks Nelson to bring on the shot clock violation.
You see Fordham trying to play with more urgency. You need that from the jump. From the jump, you got to play with a sense of urgency and play every possession like it's a dead ball.
But you almost feel, talking in breaks, that they were almost playing with too much urgency after halftime. They were just a step too fast in everything they were doing, and it led to mistakes.
A little frazzled, some miscommunications, mental lapses.
This is a Fordham timeout, down 13 with 1:18 to go. This gym was unkind to all visitors last year. Fordham was 18-2 in this building. They're about to be 4-9 on the year and 0-5 in this gym. Now, the last two have come against the cream of the crop in this league, in VCU and Richmond. But the first three were LaSalle and Davidson and Loyola's having a very good year. But those three were winnable games. You could argue that Fordham should beat LaSalle and Davidson here, but they didn't. And they find themselves lucky to be 4-1 on the road, or this would be a really ugly record right now.
And they put themselves in position to close out those games. Against St. Louis, the reason why they were able to win is because they started making big-time shots in the second half and turned them over in key times. Just haven't seen that much in this game. And they're pretty much, in my opinion, in every game they played, they've been in it. It's just they let it slip away.
Up until the Richmond game. So there's been the St. John's game. There was one game in their November tournament in the islands, the U.S. Virgin Islands. Those were, for a while, those were the two games that they couldn't have won. Everything else, as you said, they were kind of in position. Richmond got away from them, and now this one has gotten away from them as well. They have the fortune of their second bye week starts once this game is over. So they don't play again for 8 days. But that's next Wednesday here against St. Bonaventure, whom they've already beaten in Olean. Noah Best is in for the final now 40 seconds.
And look, there's something to learn from every game. Especially come March, you want to be at your best. These are the moments they got to take and learn from.
VCU dribbling out an impressive road win. They came in hot, and they're going to stay hot. This will now be 7 wins in 8 outings, 15-8 overall, 7-3 in the Atlantic 10. Fordham will drop to 10-13, 4-6 in the league. That's out of bounds off of Will Richardson. 11 first half points for him, just 2 since.
That's what Coach Ergo emphasized to us, is having consistency And that's what has been important in this game, is being consistent in both halves. VCU extending the lead and not letting down against being down 1 point, or up, I should say.
75-60 is the final. The Rams of Fordham continue to look for their first home A10 win, while VCU keeps it rolling at home, on the road. It doesn't matter at the moment. They just keep winning with offense and defense, and right on the number. They came in giving up 60 points per game in their last 7. They gave up exactly 60 tonight, and they win this one going away. Up 1 at the break, got ahead by as many as 20, and they win by 15. Max Shulga, not surprisingly, played a leading role, flirting with a triple-double. 13 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists. Joe Bamasil also scored 13. Bairstow threw in 12 and 8 boards in his return to the lineup, but Shulga's our player of the game, and he is courtside right now with Maria.
5.
Max, your team led by just 1 at the end of the first half, but then you outscored Fordham 43-29. What shifted?
We just knew we had to keep the energy up. You know, they came really aggressive in the first half. You know, they were denying us, and we knew what to expect. We were expecting that. You know, so we just had to continue being aggressive and not put our heads down, especially after that 3 that they hit at the end of the first, which kind of gave them a little bit of momentum. So we just had to keep it going, and in order to come out with the W.
You kept up your great season that you're having going as well. You had a double-double tonight. What's been working for you offensively?
Just making the right play. You know, we have a really good group of basketball players. We're still learning how to play with each other. So with me, it's just making the right basketball play and staying aggressive no matter what defensive coverages the other team is in.
Your team has won 7 of their last 8. How do you keep the momentum going?
Just keep being us, focusing on ourselves and not really focusing on the streak or on how many games we won or we lost. Just taking the games one at a time and trusting the process.
Max, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Back to you guys.
Maria, Max, thanks so much. It's nice to have grown men on your roster. Shulga's played a lot of college games at Utah State, and now here at VCU. Coach Ergo told us the most impressive thing about Shulga, he plays with great pace, and he was always in control of the speed of this game. And 13, 10, and 5 is a heck of a line.
And he's a playmaking guard with really impressive range. He showcased that all night, really impacting both ends of the floor here. And what a win for VCU, really, truly.
They ran away with this one. They led by 1 at the break, got to a 20-point edge, and they win 75-60. This was a game for 20, but VCU flipped the switch after halftime, and Fordham did not have an answer.